Xenoblade has been a series I've followed since the first entry when it came out back on the Wii in North America in 2011. And while I haven't played it exactly as release day, I never really did get a copy back then. It was mostly just on my radar, and when I learned to mod my systems, it was on. And if I'm being honest, I never expected the series to get past the first entry, considering the fact that even then it wasn't planned out to come here, and I felt back in 2011 it was pretty niche. But here we are, 4 main entries later, and I still think that's pretty cool. And for this video, like my others, I'll be ranking my least favorite to my favorite, and for this one I'm not going to count Torna and Futures Connected and the Wave 4 of the Xenoblade 3 expansion. For the first two, I felt that they weren't really long enough to really count as a big Xenoblade adventure, since for me Torna was about like 20 to 30 hours and Futures Connected was about 10 hours. Wave 4 hasn't come out yet as of this video, but I am very sure it'll be like the Torna expansion in a lot of aspects with how it's handled. And while again I did enjoy the first two, I just don't think they really warrant being on the list. Pretty much same thing with Wave 4. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it when it comes out. It's just that even if I made this video a lot later, it wouldn't be on the list. I'm also not going to count any additions made to the games like Xenoblade 2 and 3 via the expansion pass like Challenge Run and whatnot, since of course those were paid content. And with Xenoblade 1, there wasn't really paid content, like, there was just Xenoblade Definitive Edition, which adds some niceties here and there, and that's not really going to play a major factor since I am pretty used to the Wii version, and Definitive Edition is just a nice addition. But again, for the most part, Definitive Edition is not really going to change the placing of that game on the list. And with that intro out of the way, let's get with my least favorite entry, that being Xenoblade Chronicles X. This entry had a lot of potential to be really great, but fell short of what I think makes Xenoblade games really amazing, like the story and characters, for example. While Lao and Elmo were really nice and I felt their stuff was kind of cool, it was mostly just pushed to the end. And while Lao had some moments when he was introduced, but again, a lot of that stuff was dumped at the end of the game. And there are some other plot stuff here and there, like, you meet some of the alien tribes, and then you finally meet like the big bad guy, Luxor I think his name was. Like, again, near the end was kind of just lackluster. And every other character got a few things here and there within the main story, like a backstory and whatnot, or through other means like side quests. And while it's nice, again, I think it's pretty lackluster. I thought the main cast trying to live in a unknown planet was kind of cool, but you really don't learn much about them via the main quest. This is also true with the main villains, sadly. But I feel this entry's gameplay is really solid along with the exploration, and while you are on the ground for a lot of it, I still had a ton of fun running around trying to get to higher areas on foot, and the mechs did make it a lot more fun also when you do get the flight version of it too, which is again really cool. And the gameplay is basically like Xenoblade 1's, but a little bit better if you ask me, since arts have an extra cooldown, which can make them deal more damage, and I do like the addition of soul voices. There is also Overdrive, which I haven't used much, and I can't understand how it works, but that's also another thing that I really enjoyed. There's a lot more in the gameplay, but I feel I would be here for a while just explaining all of that, but again, the gameplay is really solid. I also really did love the music in this entry as well, which is known for Xenoblade games, but the soundtrack is also heavily done by Hiroyuki Sawano, who is someone I think makes really good songs, and you might recognize him from other places like Attack on Titan and whatnot. And the last thing I want to add on to Xenoblade X, I haven't done the online stuff since by the time I played it in late 2020 and early 2021. I don't think there were a lot of people playing, so I just didn't bother. But it does look interesting. I just kind of wish I got the game a lot sooner and tried it out a lot more. And now we're going on to my third favorite entry, that being Xenoblade 3. With this entry, I kind of did think it would be more of a crossover of Xenoblade 1 and 2 than what we got from the trailers. And that doesn't really affect my feelings from the trailer, since, obviously I think on its own, after playing through the whole game, it's still really fun. It's got really good gameplay, and it mixes, the Xenoblade 1 and 2 style, and integrates them in a really fun way, since up, left, and down on the D-pad are like a second set of skills, and your X, Y, and B are your others. It depends on what class you have. And that also leads into if it's, a Kevin's class or an Agnes class, which also determines if it's an auto attack base or if it's a time base like Xenoblade 1. I do really like this because the customization you can do with classes is really fun since you can equip the different skills and whatnot from different classes and swap it over, so that's pretty nice. Like, I think the skills from Teach's class might work with a physical attacker, and he's normally in the hero class. He does have some physical stuff, but again, all of his skills could work elsewhere. I also enjoyed most of the main cast, those being Senna, Uni, and Tyon. Lance, Noah, and Mio I found to be alright, but the other three I really enjoyed their personalities along with Senna's character moments. The side characters that can join your party are also nice, and I also really enjoyed seeing those side quests. And while it did kind of suck, a lot of them really didn't have any plot relevance because, you can't really expect to get most of them doing the main story, so they can't really write around them. But still, at least within the side content, they were pretty nice. And while all that stuff is great, I just could not get behind the villains here. I found that for me, there was only a few villains that had something going on with them, those being Mobius M, N, and J. I can kind of get what Z is all about, but I still found him and all the other Mobius is kind of boring and not all that serious. I just didn't care for the most part, and while Mobius had some good moments, most of them really just lacked development, and honestly it just kind of sucks because some of them could have been really cool and had some really nice personalities here and there. I also really did not like the fast pacing the game had. I feel like there wasn't a lot of time spent on various aspects. Stuff like the world, some of the characters that I felt were supposed to be bigger just did not get a lot of time. Like Ethel, for example, one character I thought would have been similar to Moag, but to me she just kind of ended up being underwhelming. She does have some really nice stuff with Noah and whatnot, but those moments are just in the early chapters, and she doesn't really do a whole lot else. I like her design and stuff, and I like her personality. It's just, again, I felt like she was built up in the trailers to be a bigger character, and there were of course all other characters that I felt like were kind of disappointments, but in the end of the day, I did do the side quest and I still think she's a fine character. It's just, again, I just wish there was some more stuff here and there. There are a few more characters like that I thought were kind of disappointments, but overall, they're just okay at best. And I still think Xenoblade 3 is a really fun game and definitely has a lot of great moments in the story. And the main cast I still found to be good and have good developments. I just found the other two entries to have a lot more of what I ended up enjoying in comparison to Xenoblade 3. And now with that, we move on to my second favorite entry, that being Xenoblade 1. This is partly, I feel, because of my nostalgia to the game, because I played it back when I was like around 12 or 13, around there, and then even then I still think it's solid even after I played like Definitive Edition like a good year or two ago. While the gameplay is, I feel nowadays, a lot more simple in comparison to the later entries, I still think it's fine enough and still holds up. In late game, it's definitely just the same route of trying to break the opponent, topple them in days, and also if your character has access to buffs, use them. But overall, again, still fun, and at least all the characters have a variety of playsets. Like, Ricky is mostly the debuffer, Melia is like the mage character, Shulk is like, I guess, the jack of all trades and stuff like that. Again, it's fun, but it's just a lot more simple. And the world, I still had a ton of fun exploring it, even though some areas weren't as like big or dense as the one in Xenoblade 2 and X. There's still a good amount of parts to them. And of course, the music is fantastic. I did end up liking a lot of the tracks. For example, the newest battle theme, Scout Plains, Satoru Marsh, so on and so on. And I do think a lot of the areas do look really good in like, say, nighttime, like Valak Mountain and the Marsh, and just overall it looks really nice, and I think the HD version definitely helped them look a lot nicer. But one thing I did kind of think that was lackluster was the main cast. I feel like Shulk, Melia, and Fiora had some of the biggest moments and developments in the game, and I did still like them for the most part. Shala had some moments early on, but I feel her all kind of ended at the Ether Mine, which is kind of sick because I really do like her character. She has, again, moments later on in the story, but not all that much. And then there were the other three, Ryan, Dunban, and Ricky, didn't really have much to do, but I still do really like their personalities. It's just that, I feel like the writers kind of just forgot about them when it comes to big events. The side quests are also kind of just okay or lackluster, since a lot of them are just, hey, kill this monster or collect this thing. Overall, I still love this entry and it's got a ton of positives, and I still think it holds up today. The HD remaster, while I wish there was a bit more here and there, it's still a pretty good way to play it, and it's pretty much the only way to play it at this point, unless you want to get like a physical copy, because you can't download off the Wii U eShop anymore, which of course really sucks. But at least, you know, you have the Switch to play on, so again, that's really great. And of course, with that, we move on to my personal favorite Xenoblade game, that being Xenoblade 2. This entry, I feel, has the best of what the series has to offer. Amazing gameplay, really nice story, great characters, nice explorability, so on and so on. While some of the game's common criticisms are kind of understood, like bad tutorials, odd designs for the characters, and the method of how you get blades and field skills, the last two I think aren't really that bad. I feel with like the blade skills, you would have to wait a while till you can actually like have 3 blades on you at the same time. And doing your first playthrough, you can't really unequip the main character blades, so maybe that's the reason why people complain, because you have to do a lot of menuing. But for me, I never really minded, and I guess it could kind of suck early games since you don't really have a lot of blades, and Toll can't equip blades at all. So, and again, I don't mind it as much since you can always just come back to that part later on. And the blade summoning isn't something I think it's a major issue, since getting core rituals isn't really all that hard, and you don't really need to get the strongest blades to win the game. And again, it can always make you just think of different strategies. And the blade summoning, I don't think it's a major issue since getting core crystals isn't too hard, and it's not like you need the strongest blade to win the game anyways. And it can always just make you think of different strategies on what to do, because of course you're not going to have access to every single blade, so you know, you just do mixing and matching here and there. And the designs, I kind of feel in a lot of cases it's just up to personal preference of if you like it or not. Like, I kind of see how some designs are a little bit off-putting, but for me it's just sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't, and sometimes I just really think it's really bad and stupid, you know. But that, again, for the most part, is just up to personal taste, I think. And yeah, the tutorials do kind of suck since they either don't really explain anything all that well, or they give you misinformation, which really sucks, because I feel the gameplay, once you learn it, is really fun and has a good amount of depth, since every blade has their own elements and weapons, along with taking the break system from Xenoblade 1 and adding more onto it. The main goal is trying to maintain the driver combo and the blade combo as much as possible, and it gets a lot more fun when you mix and match different weapons and blades, since everyone does get their own unique skills for each weapon. There's also various codes you can put on the blade, which is good, and I find the customization in this entry to be really great. The characters are, again, also really fantastic in this entry. While some, like Rex, you may or may not like at the start, I feel by the end of the game, he's just a really strong protagonist. The main cast and the main villains, that being Tono, are really strong and have some really good depth to them. I also think they are the best villain group in all the Xenoblade, since I feel the other ones have a few strong members here and there, but nothing too major. The group in 2, I really enjoyed all the personalities, and I really do like all the backstories, and I feel like the most fleshed out. And Xenoblade is a really amazing series with a lot of great stories, a lot of great worlds, gameplay, and other various elements. Even with the entries I rated at the lower end of the list, I would still recommend playing them, since there are a lot of good parts to them. And each game tries to be different from the last and just expand on various other aspects, and I always look forward to seeing what Monolith does next with the Xenoblade series. But with that, I want to hear what your guys' list would be. Let me know in the comments below. And thank you all for watching this fall. It really does mean a lot. Also, don't forget to, of course, like, comment, sub, follow my Twitter down below in the description. See you guys later.